Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another episode of What Will I Be Watching? This time we're going to be talking about Winter 2021 seasonal animes and the animes that I watched during that time. First off, actually, you know what? I'm gonna save that one for last. I'm gonna save that one for last. Um. First off, we'll talk about Reincarnated as a Slime, Season 3, the first half of Season 3. Um, no. It's the first half of Season 2. It's the first half of Season 2. That's the half that came out there. So that was the first half of Season 2. Yeah, I love Reincarnated as a Slime. Like, Rimuru is one of my favorite anime characters, like, of all time. I absolutely love Rimuru as a main character. Um, and, I mean, clearly I must love Rimuru as a main character, considering how my OC is basically Haru Glory from Rave Master, his outfit mixed with Rimuru Tempest's color scheme. It is a merger of those two characters. So obviously Rimuru has to be like one of my favorite anime characters ever. Obviously. Um the first half of season 2, it had so the first, like, I want to say, like, I believe it was like the first episode was fine. Episodes 2, 3, and 4 were just building up to this big tragedy that was going to happen. It was building up to it, and it did feel like it dragged on a little bit. Those 3 episodes felt like it was dragging on a little bit because we knew what was about to happen. We could tell what was about to happen. Some tragedy was about to occur. His kingdom was about to be attacked. He was about to be attacked by Hinata. Like, things were going to go wrong, and we were just waiting for those 3 episodes, waiting for it to actually occur. And then it did. And then episodes 5 through 8 were all, episodes 5 through 7 were all insane. 5, 6, and 7 were all absolutely insane. They were crazy. And then episodes 8 and 9 occurred. Episodes 8 and 9 occurred, and we knew that there was going to be retaliation, that he was going to lead his people against Falmouth. We knew that was going to happen. Like, there was going to be revenge for what happened to their comrades. But like, we spent 2 whole episodes just waiting for them to get to the revenge part. And so it did feel like it went on just a little bit too long, but it was 2 episodes. It wasn't egregiously terrible. It wasn't an egregiously terrible wait. And there was still good character moments in those episodes. Even the episodes that felt like they were dragging on still had good character moments in them. And then the last 3 episodes of the first half of the season were just nuts. They were absolutely bonkers. The revenge they took on the kingdom of Falmouth was insane. That attack on the kingdom's different camps was absolutely crazy, with everybody pulling up and pulling their weight, and it was so cool to see. So absolutely, I absolutely recommend this. 100%. It's a must watch. I like the Slime anime is just a must watch. Every season of the Slime anime is a must watch. So next up is the second season of Quintessential Quintuplets. And I will say that Quintessential Quintuplets, the first 2 seasons were fantastic. The movie sucked mainly because they attempted to cover an entire third of the story in an hour and a half long film. it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, you could have split the story up into 3 seasons, because the first season covered 1/3 of the story, the second season covered the second third of the story. So you'd think the last third of the story would have a third season to cover it, an entire 12 episodes dedicated to it. But no, they have the equivalent. They end up including the equivalent of like 4 episodes worth of 4 episodes worth of content. Like, with this movie, you split this movie up into different episodes, you could get probably 4 episodes out of it, and you're trying to combine 12 episodes worth of content into that much time. It doesn't work. Like, they cut so much out, they compacted so much, they skipped, they basically just bypassed a whole lot of the story and made things that were a big deal in the manga and made it not a big deal. And that's why I hate the ending of Quintessential Quintuplets. I absolutely despise it, the way it was done in the anime. It is just horrendous. It was done horrendously bad. Season 2, however, is good, but I cannot, in good conscience, recommend either of the seasons of the anime, knowing that the ending of the anime is so terrible. So as much as I loved watching the first 2 seasons, I cannot, in good conscience, fully recommend them. So I have to cautiously recommend them. I will say that 2 things happened in the second season that I absolutely did enjoy. One was Nino fully realizing her feelings for the main character, and just immediately being like a steamroll ahead, like a train with no brakes, just steamrolling ahead, trying to win his affection. And this caused Miku, my favorite of the sisters, to start to step up and be like, "Hey, I can't lose. I have to work hard too if I want to earn his affection." So like those 2 characters were definitely the standout characters. Yotsuba, just like in season 1, is just kind of there. She has like 1 moment with him in the second season, just like how she had 1 decent moment with him in season 1. She had 1 decent moment with him in season 1, which lasted for all of like 2 minutes, and then 1 decent moment with him in season 2, again, lasted for all of like 2 minutes. And then she has like another 1 decent moment with him in the movie before he chooses her, which lasted for all of 1 minute. So she gets like 5 minutes of character development. Meanwhile, here you have Nino and Miku getting literally all the character development throughout both seasons. Like, they're the most developed of all the characters, and they get closer to him throughout the entirety of both seasons, and he still doesn't choose either of them. And yeah, that's another issue I have. Like, I could go on and on. I could make an entire video just talking about how there was so much potential for this series and how it squandered its potential. Like, I could make an entire, like, 30-minute long video talking about that. So maybe I'll do that. But, yeah, I would cautiously recommend, because what is here is still good. I just can't fully recommend it knowing how it ends. So I would cautiously recommend. Next is the final season of Seven Deadly Sins, the 4th and final season of Seven Deadly Sins. It's how the whole story comes to a close. Of course, now we've got the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, that whole show. And I never read that series. I never read Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I haven't read it. I think the manga's still going. I have no interest in reading it. I The only thing I was curious about is what do the kids of all of the characters look like? What do the kids all look like? And I've gotten to see what they all look like at this point. Like I've looked it up, and it's like, oh, cool, that's it. That like that's all I needed. I just needed to know what their kids looked like, because I was just I was curious, but uh I this season is a lot better than season 3. It is a lot better. There's a lot more interesting stuff. I feel like the last like 3 episodes of the final season could have been cut entirely. You could have cut the last like oh no, the final episode is the flash forward the to when everyone when they all have kids. But the 3 episodes that bring back Arthur, they honestly could have waited and had that be just OVAs. They could have had that just be They could have had that just be OVAs taking place between like Seven Deadly Sins and Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It did not need to be in the actual series itself, because that arc is literally just meant to set up Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Like, it has no purpose in the actual story of Seven Deadly Sins. It's just there to set up Four Horsemen. So it didn't need to be part of this story. So it loses a few points for the ending, the final arc. Just, you could have cut that out. But I did enjoy a lot of the fights in the 4th season. I thought a lot of them were really good. I don't agree with, Bon and Elaine. I don't agree with that pairing. I could make an entire video talking about my issues with Bon as a character. And how his character was, like, squandered and just ruined. But I would, again, I would probably say cautiously recommend. Again, the Seven Deadly Sins, it is a good story. You just have to sit through mid animation in the 3rd season. The first season, fantastic. Second season, also fantastic. 4th season, the animation is choppy here and there. There are some scenes that look absolutely stunning, animation-wise, and then others that, have the same poor quality of season 3. So, yeah. So cautiously recommend that one. Low tier character Tomozaki-kun. With this one, it got a season 2 last year. And I personally love the 2nd season more than season 1, but season 1 was still very entertaining. I personally don't like the main girl. I don't like the main girl. Which God, I'm trying to remember what her name was. Actually, let me look that up now. I got it right here. Hinami. I personally don't like her because of something that she says here in this season, and it's never really brought up in season 2. It's never really addressed in season 2. It's just kind of forgotten about. But she takes less precedent in season 2 anyway. She's a lot more prevalent here in season 1. But in season 2, she takes more of a backseat. And I prefer that, because there are other really good characters that the series gets to focus on when she's not the focus. So season 2, absolutely I would recommend, but season 1 I would say cautiously recommend, because while the main character is very entertaining and is and it's very interesting to see his growth, the main girl of this season, Hinami, is not a good character. I do not like her. So so I so yeah, cautiously recommend that one. Uh, the hidden dungeon only I can enter. Okay, yeah, I remember this one. Gotta be honest, I mostly watched this one simply because when I read the synopsis for it, I thought it sounded so weird. I just had to know what the heck it was about. Um, and basically, the premise is that there are like dungeons throughout. There's dungeons throughout the world, and people go to this academy to train in order to become adventurers. Um, and the main character manages to access a hidden dungeon that no one has ever seen before, and he um and there's a person trapped in the dungeon. Like, she's unconscious, but she can speak to him telepathically whenever he's in the dungeon. And so he trains there with her. She teaches him everything she knows about the dungeon and about fighting. And so he learns everything he can from her. Um, and uh, so he learns everything he can from her, becomes super powerful, and he has this ability. Everybody has a skill, um, and he also has a skill. Uh, he also has a skill, um, that is. I want to say it's been a while since I've seen it. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was like appraisal or something, where he can learn everything there is to know about any given item. But every time he uses it, he has these immense migraine headaches that are just so piercing. Like it feels like knives are being stabbed into his brain. Knives are being stabbed into his skull. Um, and it is just excruciatingly painful. And he finds out the only way to stop that pain is to make out with a girl. And so he's got his childhood friend there who offers to be his makeout partner. So they make out. So he appraises something, then starts making out with her. And when she's not around, he ends up making out with this other girl, this receptionist girl. Um, and then meets another adventurer girl who gets the hots for him. He starts making out with her when his childhood friend is not around. And then his mentor from the dungeon, he eventually frees her, does the same thing. It does the same thing. And then his teacher at the academy, same thing. She even sits on him at one point. She sits on his face at one point. Why? Just because. It's so weird. And it is very clear that this whole series is just one big fetish series, where like it is very clear the author of the light novel that this is based on just put the main character in a bunch of situations, where the author could just show off his fetishes. Like it's made very clear that that's what's going on. I'll give it this. The designs of some of the characters are kind of good. The childhood friend, she's very pretty. She is that is a very pretty childhood friend. The teacher at the academy, also very gorgeous. Give it to that. I'll give it that. The designs of some of these girls are really good. But the story is ass. The story is absolute ass. So I cannot recommend this. The most I can recommend is just look up the designs of the characters, because they do look decent. A lot of these characters do look decently designed, but that's the most I can recommend. Like, if you really want to see some of these characters in pervy situations, just look up Rule 34 of this series. Um, that's it. That's all I can recommend. Don't watch this series. I do not recommend it. So next, So I'm a Spider, So What? So I'm a Spider, So What? Okay, I got 10 that I got 10 of these I have to get through, so I can't, I've already been recording for 20 minutes. I can't keep gushing or ranting about every single one of these. But So I'm a Spider, So What? Just briefly talk about it. Made by the same people who made the Berserk 2016 anime. So they've gotten better at making CG. I can say that for certainty. Like, most of the CG when it comes to the main character, because like it's like almost always CG. Almost every time you see the main character who's reincarnated as a spider in a dungeon, almost every time you see the main character's CG model, it looks decent. It looks pretty good. And then you see, like, there's a later scene where one of the other characters who was reincarnated as a dragon evolves and grows to be like a fully adult dragon, and CG on that looks ass. And then later on, you see the main character evolve to have like a human top half body and then spider bottom half, and that's all CG, and that looks good. But then you see, you also see like this war happening, in the same episode, and like a lot of the CGI soldiers look like absolute ass, and it's like very clearly. It is very clear where most of the budget went to. Most of the budget went to the main character and making the CG on her look amazing. And they had like virtually no budget left over for any of the other scenes. And so like the CG for everything else just does not look good. Which that is unfortunate, because this is a really good story. This is a very interesting story, and it has one of my favorite characters. It has one of my favorite characters. Oh my god, I'm so bad with names. Why am I so bad with names? It starts with a K. I know it starts with a K. Oh my god, that's gonna drive me nuts if I don't look it up right now. Carnatia. That's her name. Carnatia. Like, she's awesome. She is legitimately awesome. Like, and one of the most fascinating and she has like one of the most fascinating character developments I've seen in an anime in a long time. She's like, before reincarnating, she was a dude. She was a dude in her past life, and he was at that awkward age where he's like trying to figure out. He's a hormonal teenager, and he's starting to question his own sexuality. He's wondering, like, am I straight? Am I gay? Am I bi? What am I? What is my sexuality? He's just figuring that out. And then he's reincarnated as a woman, further confusing him, and he's like, wait, so am I actually straight? Am I gay? What is going on? And so, like, he's trying to figure that out as he's growing up in this new body, trying to get used to being a girl suddenly, because he's so used to being a guy from his past life. Now he suddenly has to learn how to act like a girl. And as the series goes on, he actually does start to accept this new reality. He accepts this new reality. He accepts that he is now a girl, regardless of what his sexuality was in his previous life. That doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that he is now a woman, and he has feeling, and he is growing, and she now is growing feelings for the person who was her best friend in their past life. They were best friends in their past life, and now And now she is a woman in this new life, and she's growing feelings for the person who was her best friend in their past life. And it is so interesting and so fascinating. And I'm like, if Western stories did something like this, if Western stories like cannot make something, like could not make something like this, like they wouldn't be able to. But if they did, I feel like there would be a lot more people who would be open to the whole trans community thing. It's like, I'm not part of that community. I'm not part of that community. I'm a guy. I'm a guy. I'm straight. I'm a straight white man, and I know that makes me worse than Hitler. If modern day people are to be believed, straight white men are worse than Hitler. I know. I hear that all the time. But like, Japan is telling a transitional story way better than America has ever done it. This is a much better transitional story than anything America has ever put out. And that is just hilarious to me. So, but yeah, like she's awesome. Like, honestly, I rewatched this series just for her. I would rewatch this series just for her character, because that is just fascinating. Her story arc is just that fascinating to me. So next up is suppose a kid from the last dungeon boonies moved to a starter town. Very, very funny. A very funny series. A kid who lived in this village next to the final dungeon of a world. Like, there's 8 dungeons in the world, and the strongest dungeon is right next to this village. And so everyone in this village is, they're super overpowered, because the standard monster around their village is like in the high 70s or 80s for levels. So he's the weakest kid in his village. And can't seem to defeat even the weakest of monsters that are near his village. But then he goes to the starter town, where everybody is at level 1. And like level 1 to level 5 to level 10 at most. And like everything, like, he just immediately annihilates every single obstacle in his way, while still thinking that he's super weak. He's just a naive kid who doesn't know the way the world works. And it is played up to comedic effect, and it is very entertaining, very funny. So I would recommend that one. Oh yeah, So I'm a Spider, So What? Must watch. Absolutely must watch. So next up, Hortensia Saga. Hortensia Saga, I'm gonna be real. When I was about to sit down and record, I looked at all the animes that I was gonna have to talk about, and like, that was the first time I thought about Hortensia Saga. Just like half an hour ago, that was the first time I thought about Hortensia Saga since I watched it. It is that forgettable. It is honestly so insanely forgettable. Like, the only things I remember, I'm gonna list off the things I remember, because it's a short list. Main character is a girl who pretends to be a guy because I think her kingdom was taken over and she has to be in hiding, and she trains to become powerful. She trains to become a powerful knight so she can take back the kingdom. Or her family was killed. She's the last living member of the royal family, and she gets found out and captured, and then has to be rescued meaning all of her training was for nothing because it ultimately leads nowhere. Um, and then there's a big fight with like the pope or the priest or something, who becomes like a big monster, and they fight him, and I think the love interest her love interest dies. And yeah, like I'm actually struggling. I'm struggling to remember what happens in the series. It is that forgettable. It is so forgettable. I can't remember most. I can't remember most of it. I vaguely remember there was a pope or a priest or something who was a villain, and then there was a love interest. And then she was pretending to be a boy throughout a large chunk of it, and like that's like the extent of what I'm sure happened, and the rest of it was just me trying my best to remember, because it is just so forgettable and so boring. Like, do not recommend. I absolutely do. I absolutely do not. I don't know. Should I say burn it? No, because I just don't remember it is a thing. I found it very boring, so just don't recommend. I just don't recommend. Two left. We're down to the last two. Okay, so worst for second last. Time for the worst for the second last, and then best for last. So, redo of Healer. Need I say more? Need I say more? Like, anyone who has heard those three words and has seen it knows exactly why my rating for it is burn it. Burn it. It's like, I'm not going to explain it. I'm not. Like, I'm not going to give any explanation as to why. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I am so jealous of you. I am so jealous of you for not having watched this. I wish I could go back in time and smack myself in the face before I ever even watched the first episode and say, don't watch it. Just give that warning to my past self. I wish I could go back in time and do that to stop myself from watching this. There's no words to describe it. There are no words to describe it. It is just horrendous. Burn it. Burn it. Burn it in the fiery pits of hell where it belongs. So, finally, the best for last. Mushoku Tensei, the season 1. Mushoku Tensei season 1, the first 11 episodes of the whole series. So, it's Mushoku Tensei. It is the number one light novel that I have wanted to have. I have wanted to get an anime adaptation for years. I have been a fan of Mushoku Tensei for years. I've read the light novel. I've read the manga. I have been a fan of this series since day freaking one. And I've waited so long. Oh God. Oh, let's see. When did the first volume release in America for the light novels? Mushoku Tensei light novel 1 release. There we go. 2014. January 2014. And I read it. I saw the first volume of the light novel. I saw the first volume of the light novel at my local Barnes and Noble. After it came out, and I thought it looked decent. I thought it looked interesting. I read the synopsis on the back of the book, and I'm like, huh, that sounds interesting. So I bought it. I read it. I fell in love with the series, and I have been following it for the past. Now I've been following it for over 10 years now. And this was 2020. This was 2021. This was 2021. So for 7 years, I had been following the series and waiting, hoping, praying that it gets an anime adaptation. And after 7 years of waiting, it finally happened. It finally got it, and it is beautiful. It is perfect. I absolutely adore Mushoku Tensei so much. I love the story so much, and I cannot wait for more. So, must watch. 100% must. You know what? No. We're adding Mushoku Tensei as its own tier. Mushoku Tensei is its own tier above must watch. Okay, it's its own tier. That's in a tier by itself. And you know what? Because I hate Redo of Healer so much, that's gonna be its own tier as well. At the very bottom, it goes from Burn It to Redo of Healer. There you go. So you got so we've got 7 tiers. We've got Redo of Healer tier. We've got Burn It. We've got Don't Recommend. We've got Cautiously Recommend. We've got Recommend. We've got Must See, and we've got Mushoku Tensei. There we go. Those are the tiers right there. So, anyway, but that's it. That's all I got. That's all 10 animes that I watched during the Winter 2021 lineup. This is a long video. 36 minutes. Oh boy. Okay. Well, in any case, that's gonna do it for this episode. So next time. Oh God, please tell me that next. Oh no. Oh no. Next one is worse. I've got 14 to get through. Oh boy. That's not going to be fun. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, all the good jazz. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.